Howdy mates, good afternoon. Here's another video I wanted to make for today. I'm over at the Stillwater, or excuse me, I'm over at the Turkey Foot Preserve, which is also near the town of Greenville. It's another Dark County park. So I am basically at the entrance of the preserve, and I have already immediately, as soon as I got here, a couple of invasive plants that I have seen along the way. So the first invasive plant that I want to point out to you guys and to definitely look out for those of you who are out, on a hike or something, is this guy. This is the Poison Hemlock. And based on the name, it doesn't sound very appealing. And there's quite a few reasons for that. Well, for one thing, if you touch this plant and it rubs against your skin too much and you don't clean up yourself right away, you're gonna have severe irritation on the skin. And you may even experience a bit of bubbling too, which is not a good sign. And I was saying that this is also an invasive plant because it's native to parts of Europe and northern Africa. It was actually brought over for, of course, ornamental reason. That's usually how most invasive plants get introduced into an area. But as you can see, this whole section here has been overtaken by this poison hemlock. And it's also a biennial plant. So during its first year, it is actually quite small, very short. So we could say this one is at its first year, but then these other ones are at its second year. And usually they spread by having seeds. But the thing is, if you're thinking if these are edible, no, you are very, very wrong. It is actually very unsafe to eat. If you are to consume high amounts of poison hemlock and you don't seek any treatment right away, you will die. You will not survive. I mean, sorry to sound very blunt, but it's true. You do not want to eat these. So, however though, if you do eat a small trace of it, you can experience some very unpleasant symptoms. They can include dizziness, dilation of your pupils, even a loss of coordination, and even some vomiting too. So those are all symptoms that I doubt any of us really desire. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't wake up during the day and just say, oh man, you know what, I feel like vomiting today, just because it feels so good. I highly doubt anyone has that particular belief. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is these are not safe. And these are not even safe for your livestock either. Because in a way, they can actually experience some very similar symptoms too. But as you can see, if you look very closely, they have kind of like an umbrella shape, with their tiny little flowers here. And they're all white. And they all appear in several little clusters too. Kind of reminds you of looking at a firework, for instance, as a form of analogy. But another way that you can really tell if you're looking at a poison hemlock is the stem. If you look very closely, the stem is hairless. It's smooth. And a distinguishing feature along its stem is there are purple blotches, as you can see. So that's another key characteristic of this particular plant. But yeah, and also you may be thinking like, what is a method to control it? Well, from what I've read, if you are to ever try pulling these, definitely wear protective clothing, gloves, you know, like long sleeve clothing, and even after you wear them, make sure they get washed, and wash your body too, because you do not want any of this to remain on your skin whatsoever. So it's very dangerous, not safe, as I've already mentioned. So typically, if they are within their first year of growth, you want to try getting them as early as possible and to try to get them from the root. But then if you really want to control something like this, that's when you want to start contacting, certified, people from university extensions, like people who are certified to handle herbicidal application, people who actually really know what they're doing. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth your health whatsoever. So however, moving on, there is actually a very similar looking plant that also falls within the carrot family that looks similar to that of the poison hemlock. So give me just a second. Alrighty folks, so now we are looking at the wild carrot, and as you can see, it actually looks very similar to the poison hemlock because of the white flowers that are also tiny. However, there are some differences. But before I get to that, here's a couple of distinguishing features to look for. Well, this is also an invasive plant, also from similar areas of Europe and northern Africa, so they're very related. It was also brought over for ornamental purpose as well. And unlike with the poison hemlock, the stem is actually hairy too. As you can see those little points along the stem, and it's completely green as well. But then another distinguishing factor is the flowers, they all appear in one cluster, as opposed to looking like a firework like the poison hemlock that I was just talking about. And these are also biennials, so I would say probably this one is possibly in its second year. It's difficult to say. But not only that, but when you actually look very closely at the plant here, you can see that there is, you can see right there towards the center, there's a little purple flower. And that's how you also know if you're looking at a wild carrot. Now you may be thinking, when you hear carrot, wild carrot, does it actually produce our famous carrots? No, not necessarily. They don't produce, carrots whatsoever. It just so happens to be the name. In terms of the reason why, I'm not really sure. It's just the name that I've always known it by. Or it's also even called Queen Anne's lace as well. But this is also a plant that you do not want to consume either. It's also a bit toxic as well. And the thing is, you don't want like your dairy cows to consume it, because it's been known that if they consume excess amounts, they can actually experience, some symptoms, of loss of coordination, dizziness, but then it can also taint the flavor of the milk too. So that's something you want your livestock to be steered away from. But yeah, usually with any invasive plant, they'll just typically grow in any disturbed habitat. So like in a sense we kind of are in a disturbed habitat. And you also see a bunch of these in a roadside ditch. That's like some of their favorite spots to hang out. But yeah, there's another poison hemp, or excuse me, there's another wild carrot right there. But yeah, these are the types of plants that you really have to look out for and be careful and cautious. So, alright mates. Hey, I thought I would share that with you guys. I hope you really got something out of this video. That's actually been a little topic that I've been meaning to cover for a little while, because it's really becoming more prevalent, you know, especially in the Midwest, is the wild carrot and the poison hemlock. But yeah, even though they are related and they do look similar, there are some differences to look out for. And same thing goes for management too, as I mentioned with the poison hemlock, of course. But if all else fails, just contact your local university extension, people who are certified to handle issues like this. And also, if something happens to you, if you happen to have any exposure, like among accidental consumption, you also got the Poison Control Center to contact. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I actually enjoyed making this one. And once again, learning on a journey is outwards. Take care, folks.